All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Saturday, February 6th, 2021. And this is the last of our Saturday afternoon get-togethers. And there's still, I still have practice sessions set for next week. So if you haven't already emailed me to let me know which day works best for you, please do so. And please do be patient with my responses and emails. I'm a little behind. There's a lot. It's a larger group, and so there are a lot of emails between just questions about things that pop up and the homework, and then all the things, plus the other mystical emails that I'm managing as well. I need a little helper, like a little helper. All right, so just about everybody's here. I am recording. So with this last session, I am going to talk about a few different things, but I'm also going to invite all of you to ask your questions, right? I think I mentioned that in the announcement part, to ask your questions. This is the time, the place to ask questions about the practice or anything that has come up with you. If you've been stumped a little bit, chances are that someone else may have a similar question as well, okay? And I don't see Patty in here yet. She might have to go in and out. Again, computer stuff, Mercury retrograde. Let me look here quick. I don't think, has anyone seen Patty? I don't see her.
I see Patty.
You do?
I don't see her picture. It says Patty 736.
Oh, I don't even.
So she's unmuted.
Patty,
I see the same thing.
Then I just don't see her on the screen. Okay, let me do this, gallery. Well, I guess then she's in because it's showing me that it's still pending. Okay. That's weird. Okay. Anyway, all right. So let's set the space with a little bit of sage. Oh, 2 more people in the waiting room. Hold on here. It still says Patty's out there. Well, I'll take all of your advice that she's here. Patty, if you're there, can you write here in the chat or something? Although everybody can see you but me. All right. I'll lay a little bit of Palo Santo. Remember, Palo Santo is very similar to sage and clearing energy. And I have most certainly been lighting a lot of incense and sage to center myself, to ground myself, to help me focus. And the energy's been very busy, and the collective energy has been a little bit tiring. I've found myself a little tired these days. Not as much stamina as what I usually have. Anyway, so smudging, clearing yourself, going outside, connecting with nature most certainly does help us with sealing up our auric field and grounding and reconnecting with spirit. So I'm going to set the prayer of intention for all of us here. So I call upon the light, and I call upon our guides, our higher selves, the wonderful forces that work with us, the angelic realm, the masters of light that assist us on our journeys here. We also acknowledge the earth angels, the people who support us on our journeys, who love us unconditionally, who provide safe places for us as we travel. And with the intention, I connect us within this web of energy, the hoop of life, and this sacred circle that at times may be open, but the bonds are unbroken. And I set the space today for connecting, for assisting with those who have inquiries, with feeling a little more completion with this work, although it is an ever-changing, evolving journey for myself as well. And so it is. All righty. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so we are now completing with the material that has been uploaded. I have added more bonuses within the modules, and I will continue to add material to the bonus areas. Okay, so I just see the chat here quick that Patty is trying to get in. She's trying to get in. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, there she is. Let me see. Fingers crossed that she's connecting. Okay. So I want to congratulate all of you for showing up. You may not have shown up for all of the practices. You may not have shown up for all of the Saturday meetings, but you have shown up in spirit with your intention to learn, to grow, to be open to other processes of doing things and expanding your mind. You know, it really is important that we continue to grow, to learn, to seek knowledge as we walk on this path, right? Now, do we need to be studying all the time? Probably not, right? Because that can be overwhelming. And there is an integration period. So for some people, they have emailed me that they needed to slow down the process a little bit, and that's okay. Some have said, you know, I'm just not as dedicated. There's a lot going on in my life that I haven't been able to review the material and so on and so forth. That's okay too. The material in these modules is there for you. So as long as I have a Kajabi platform, it's there for you. If I should switch the Kajabi platform to anything else, I will still let everyone know and provide you an opportunity of receiving the material, whether it's downloading it or however. So this is yours for life. And for the founding members that joined in during that first round, I do have more questionnaires coming through. They'll be coming through this week. And I know some of you filled out the Google form that was in the module too. I'm still reviewing some of that information too. And I have heard your request for the PowerPoints, the slide presentations. I did create PDFs in those modules, so those have been uploaded as well. So you can view the slide presentations on your own and take notes there. Okay, awesome. All right, so before I go into any other material, because I feel like still some more people might be coming in, I wanted to see if, as of right now, if anyone has any questions of anything that may have emerged. And I know Patty's still trying to get in. I know. You made it. Yay! She's in. Yeah, the first question is Patty here yet? Yay, she made it.
I'm having such issues with this laptop. I'm really sorry.
Well, yeah, you know, whoa.
Where'd you go?
Well, maybe put like a Himalayan salt lamp by your laptop.
Oh, good idea. Okay.
Maybe fluorite too, because sometimes that happens. And I notice sometimes when I'm really busy, like energy is like, woo, that my electronics seem to take a poop, or my phone, and it just is that I have a lot going on and my energy is really big at that point. So that's one of the things. And then again, Mercury is retrograde. So that
great. Yes. I got a lot of stuff going on, and yes.
All the things. So Himalayan salt, if you don't have a Himalayan salt lamp, anybody, please do get one, because it helps neutralize the ions in the environment. And I do see Jessie has a question.
Yeah, I have a salt lamp, and twice that I came home, it was turned on. Like, and you have to click a button to turn it on.
Yeah, it's like a little wheel.
Mine's is actually like a big circle and you click it. So
Ah,
when it's in my dining room, my husband's gone because he's a truck driver, so he's gone for months. So I come home and the darn lamp is on. And I'm like, what? And then when it happened twice, I'm like, okay, this is not normal.
no,
I
they're
don't know
telling
if
you.
anyone else has had that issue.
Yeah, anybody else have that issue of self turning on salt lamps or appliances?
Lamps, lights, and cabinets. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
I've had the TV turn on, and I was in the shower and I'm doing like a little meditation with salt rub, and I was connecting with something that was talking to me about destiny. And then the TV turns on by itself right at that moment, and I hear the dragon from the show Merlin literally start like giggling and saying something about choosing your destiny. And I froze because I
Yeah.
was like, that's crazy. Like, who's following me, really?
Oh my
So
God.
that happened, with the TV just out of nowhere. I'm like, what? It was off. It was off. So yeah.
No, but it's fun. For the most part, it is kind of fun and it's a validation. Jesse, I definitely think that someone saying, you should be leaving this on, or maybe you're not turning it on enough, right? Exactly. Yeah. I have cameras at the Fort Myers store, and I had noticed that the light in the classroom was on, one of the lamps. This is a couple of years ago. And I noticed that it was on. I thought, that's really weird because I'm pretty sure I turned it off because I always do walk around. I would notice the lamp on. I went back and it turned itself on at like 1:00 in the morning. Yeah, went back and looked at the camera. I was like, oh, but it's like a validation too that, okay, there's magical, mystical stuff happening, right? And that there's so much more that's taking place. And I think that we forget that. I know we forget that, right? We forget that we're not just this body, that there's a whole other realm of possibilities, or two or three. And that we are being that we're receiving messages all the time of validation or hello. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing, Jesse.
My TV goes on when I'm sleeping,
Oh,
almost at least a couple of times a week. I don't know. I just thought it was like an electronic malfunction, and I have to get the clicker and turn it off.
probably somebody trying to say hello.
I know that my son received a bear, like a little stuffed animal bear that you press its foot and it plays a song. His grandmother on his paternal side gave it to him for Christmas. Well, this was just a couple weeks ago and it was going off in the middle of the night. It was the strangest thing. And then it was like sitting, staring at the TV a couple times. So now we're like, we need to throw this away. Well, a few days went by that this went on, and now we're starting to think that there's something wrong with this stuffed animal that keeps going off in the middle of the night. Well, his grandmother was in the hospital and they found a tumor. So it was like a warning is how we looked at it.
Yeah.
Afterwards, it was like saying, hey, like, and she was the one that gave the bear to him on Christmas. So it was kind of interesting.
That bear is an oracle. Like, hey, there's something up. Yeah. Anybody else want to share? Okay.
Hey, Lori, I had a question.
Sure.
It's something that happened to me a couple nights, actually this week past. Every time I went to bed pretty early, and I've been making it a point so I can remember my dreams again, which has been happening a lot more since this class, which is cool. But as I've been closing my eyes and I'm getting a vision, I kept on having this noise from the corner of my room by where the TV is. I don't know if this is just an electrical response to the cold versus the hot, but it was a snap. It felt like I was getting electrocuted every time I kept having a vision come up, and it was disrupting my sleep. What is your take on that?
So when your sleep is being disrupted, I know it's inconvenient. I would wake up and start writing down what's going on in your dream, what you remember, or how you're feeling. Just start writing some things down to document. And if you can kind of go within and ask, is there a message? What's the message? Pay attention to the time that it's happening as well. I feel like it's, I also think that your energy is shifting and expanding, and it's having an impact on the electronics. But I also think that it's a validation of all of the above, that there's a message for you to write that down. Your energy is expanding. I would maybe also bring in some grounding crystals in the bedroom, right, to just help with, like, put them maybe around the television, right, nearby, and that might help. And fluorite's good for that too. Fluorite's good for electronics as well, with the electromagnetic smog and all the things that happen. But I think there's a visitor, your energy is increasing, and for you to write down and ask, go into that space of, is this a visit? What do you have? Is there a message? Why is this happening? And then just go right into the first impressions that you have.
It sounded like those little things that you throw, I forget what they're called, the little pop things that you throw on like 4th of July on the ground. They just go pop, pop. And the sound felt like it was like shocking me right here for some reason.
So do you think possibly, are you sure that it's coming from that area, or does it sound like it? Like when I play the crystal bowls, you can hear them coming from that direction, even though they're right in front of me. So it also, because you're in an altered state when you're waking up.
Mm.
So that's a good question.
Not like that area, but I'll,
play with all those things. They may help.
All right, cool. I'll do that.
Thank you. And I saw that Barb has a question here in the chat. Can I expand upon holding space for ourselves or others? Sure, that is a term that we hear often and that I speak often, I say often. So holding space would be being patient. It would be trying to be non-judgmental of the process. Understanding that, you know what, I'm going through something that I deserve a pass a little bit. Just be patient. Like I said, be patient, be compassionate, have empathy that some things may be coming up. You know, even like when we say prayers for people, like I hold space for you with your intention. Like I'm holding you in the most loving, finest light. I'm asking Spirit to cocoon you with this support. Another word might be support for holding space as well. Yeah. And doing that for ourselves too, right? It's like I need to hold space for myself, that I'm on this journey and a lot is going on, and try to get my negative ego to be quiet and to sit down and try not to go into a space of judgment. And I really see that, unfortunately, a lot in the spiritual arena, where there's a lot of spiritual snobbery, where people are judging people and, oh, they should be past that, and so on and so forth, right? And then on the flip side, I see people judging themselves for not being perfect. Like I should be then they're saying I should be past this, right? Blah, 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 right? So it's both and we are all human. We all have stuff. We're all going through it. Some of us talk about it more than others. You know, some people share, some people don't. And that's a personal choice too. It really is. And that goes all under the umbrella of the holding space, right? I know you would think you wouldn't see it in the spiritual arena, but my gosh, it's there. Religious and metaphysical New Age as well. Yeah. Any questions about that? About the holding space or that comment? And Ashley Pittman says, yes, give everyone grace. Awesome. Thank you. Heather, feel free to ask your question if you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah. So I have a question about, I don't want it to be, triggering for anybody, but and when we were having those breakout sessions once, there was a time where I thought maybe there was a message from, so I had miscarriages. I had a few, and I know I've gotten like in readings with Jenny or whatever, I've gotten that there's a daughter around me that I don't have. And I know that when my son, my oldest son, was a baby and he was really young, he would be up, and then he woke up, and he would be up in his room before I got there. And when I got there, he would tell me that he was playing with his brother. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, yeah, the brother that used to live in your tummy, but he's not here anymore, and he wasn't able to. And I was like, okay. So he was very young. Nobody had told him anything about that. And I was like, is he all right? He's like, yeah, he's good. So I guess, but then there's also this idea of like, you know, the soul enters the body with breath, like the breath of life, you know, at the same time. And when these miscarriages happened, although it was very sad, it was also, I didn't feel necessarily intuitively that a connection necessarily to a soul, maybe a potential of a soul, but it wasn't like I had really felt like something was alive and then it had died or passed or something. Maybe because, you know, that the way humans understand passing and death isn't necessarily the full picture of it. So my question was just a little bit about like how souls interact with us at that stage. Is there a being there? Is it, you see, it's just a little confusing for me because I'm getting kind of conflicting things, and either way, it's fine. But I just didn't know if there was any clarity on that I just hadn't heard about yet.
That's an excellent question. So what I'm hearing is that, some souls choose to inhabit a body just for a little bit, and it's like they're not maybe always there. And so with the point of conception, there must be some little strand of energy of the soul essence to help the life take form, and the spark, right? Boom, right? When the egg starts to divide, right? So there has to be some little something there, right? And what I'm hearing from that baby soul is that, and I feel like this little boy is going to teach you more about this, is that yes, there was part of him that was in there and was aware of what was going, but remember, the soul is so much more, right? And he knew that he knew that he wasn't going to have a physical life outside of you. So I feel like he was there and not there, here and not there. And I don't know if that feels right to you, but I'm going to encourage you to explore that more so, because he is telling me that when there is the separation, when that starts happening, that is like that the creation, and that babies, we'll say babies, even human and animal, any babies, that they don't spend all of their, not all of their awareness is in that body. Kind of like when we sleep. That's what I'm being shown. When we sleep, enough of our essence is in our body to keep it alive. And then the other part of our essence is exploring and learning and growing.
Makes so much sense. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. And I do believe that he will expand upon that more so, right? And he says that it's also the individual's choice of how present they are in the body, in the cocoon, in the womb. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome, because some babies, they recognize the dad, right? And do they recognize the dad because also they knew them in spirit form too, right? It's probably both and, another both and.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Other questions? If you have your hand raised, I can't see you because hold on here. Anybody? or you can unmute yourself. Vanessa.
I have a question.
Sure.
And this has not necessarily happened to me. It's just one of those things I think about. Like, let's say someone who's been a medium would, like, let's say you connect with somebody or someone that has walked this earth at one point. Do they sometimes leave behind habits, or all of a sudden there's like a new taste for something, or all of a sudden you like the smell of this for some reason? And is that a good thing or a bad thing?
So what do you mean? Can you ask that again?
Like when you connect with a spirit, or someone that's a spirit that's walked this earth before, someone that passed, do they sometimes leave behind habits, like not habits, but like, let's say all of a sudden, like you didn't really like drinking black coffee, for example, and then all of a sudden now you like it ever since you've connected with this person? Is that something that happens, and is that something to keep an eye out for, or is that something that
It's the latter. So it could mean that they're kind of hanging out with you a little bit, and they've made a little bit of a connection with you energetically, so some courting, and like they're attached to you.
Okay, I figured, I'm like, you know what? That seems like it would be and again, this has not happened with me. As far as I don't feel like it has, unless it's been my free will. But I'm just wondering, like, that just came up. I'm like, does that ever happen? I mean, does that happen with a guide? But you're right, that does indicate, because that's what I was thinking. We're like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. That would be a cord, and that would be, one way or another, it's taking energy from you, or it's maybe it's an attachment. And anything that is in your highest and finest light doesn't need an attachment, correct?
Correct. Feeding
Okay.
off your energy. So this is something I don't believe I touched upon in the course yet. Good, excellent question. So this is a segue, and they're like, talk about this. So people who are psychic people who are strongly, very intuitive, psychic, they have big light, big psychic energy. And that, like what Vanessa brought up, like a spirit might be like a Klingon, a little bit of a Klinger energy. Sometimes they don't have boundaries, right? And then they're feeding off your energy. You will not catch me doing an extensive exorcism, spirit release. You will not catch me doing that, because I would be a feast for an energy. And I know people who do extensive cleansings, and they don't do it often because they themselves then have to go through this whole ritual of going back into their protective zone and so on and so forth. Now, what Vanessa was bringing up, I really do believe with cord cuttings, like that doesn't feel like it's like a code 5. Right? That's just like a little something there, a little astral, little hanger on, an astral bugger, we'll call them, right? So then cord cuttings, and this is something I brought in here too. These are these copper rings of fire, which you can get from Slim Sperling's website, SlimSpurling's website, and it's called a copper ring. And what you do is you put it over your body 3 times, and it helps cut cords. It helps seal up your energy. You can take those salt baths. You can go have someone help you with cord cuttings, calling in Archangel Michael. This is why I talk so much about releasing the energy. And sometimes, you still emotionally may just have a little bit of a reaction in a session or whatever. And it's like, oh, you know what? I think I need to shift my energy and seal up my auric field and cut those cords. But the copper is an excellent way of sealing up your auric field and helping it get back to being intact.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry if I have too many questions, but are you gonna touch on psychic vampirism? I don't know if you had mentioned something about that you were going to maybe talk about that subject.
Yeah, I was going to too. So, does anybody have any questions about what we just talked about?
I do.
Uh-huh.
When you're say for example, a spirit does have some form of attachment to you, and maybe it's not good. Like she said, that black coffee. So then you're drinking black coffee all the time, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, I'm not
So
myself.
yeah, exactly. So as far as, you can call upon Archangel Michael, you can do the salt baths, the copper ring, but in the process, what are you doing as far as the ritual? Like what prayer? Do you have a specific prayer? Do you have specific words that you would do something like that? Or how would you surround yourself with light before you start? I mean,
All
sage,
of those things, right? So I ask my higher self and my guides, my protector guides, to come in and to help me cut the cords that are not serving. I'm going to make some notes here to put it in the bonus area with there's an Archangel Michael prayer that helps put you in a tube of light and helps remove any influences that are not of your higher self or you. That's a good one to do if you do it after sessions, before sessions, any type of spiritual work. So the intention is to cut the cords that don't serve, and we're wanting to seal up our energy field, cutting the cords of energy that are connected to outside sources, and then to seal up our energy field. So you can use your own intention and prayers, but you can also say, Archangel Michael, please come in. I invoke thee to help cut the cords, the toxic cords that don't serve me. So when you do cord cuttings, and it's important for you to realize unconditional love bonds will always be there because they're unconditional love. There's nothing that is unhealthy about that. Now, if there's obsession, that's not unconditional love, right? People who are codependent and obsessive. And in a situation where, say, if you all of a sudden started picking up the habits of your Aunt Susan, if you just connected with Aunt Susan and she had a lot of addictive tendencies, and then all of a sudden you find yourself entertaining these, then you probably have a spirit attachment. And Aunt Susan is just feasting off your energy a little bit, not intentionally, but it's happening, right? And again, that goes back to the teaching or the understanding that people still have the same personality and spirit. Doesn't mean that they're transformed and they're evolved and they're just so smart and wise and they have boundaries, healthy boundaries, and so on and so forth, that they, chances are, still have some of the same personality quirks. And I do believe over time that there is counseling to help us move through the challenging aspects of ourselves. It doesn't mean there's a personality transformation, though. Did that help, Kaylee?
Yes, that helped. But what if what if there is an unhealthy form of habit that starts and you start trying to cut this cord, and what if you just can't get beyond it? So what would be the next steps that you would want to take? Just keep taking your salt baths every day,
Well, it could be, and it's you, right? It could be that it may be a spirit attachment, or it could be that you're picking up an undesirable habit. But you can also seek a professional, energy worker, spirit release person to help you shift that too. If you're having a hard time doing it yourself, then seek out a professional. Yes, Heather.
Would it be fair to say that if that has happened, that's a part of you resonated with that and allowed it? Like we don't allow anything we don't want on some level.
Right. To be underneath. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. On some level, we agree to it, whether we are consciously aware or not. On some level, we allowed it in. Yeah. And that's what could happen, right? If we allowed ourselves to be a full body trance channel where we're not aware of what's happening and we completely black out. There's no true way of knowing that whoever, whatever that's in our body that's driving this vehicle is of the highest and most loving light, right? But there are people who have had contracts like Jane Roberts and so on and so forth, right? So that's why we wouldn't want, Aunt Susan to completely come in and take over, right? Because our body is not meant for that. And is it really Aunt Susan? I don't know. Right? Hopefully. Right? Yes, Lana.
Yeah, I have a question. I think this is along the same lines. When you mentioned Jane Roberts, she had a contract. What are you familiar with remote viewing? Is that a contract that you have as a?
To be able to see things from, yeah, we could do that psychically, sure.
Okay.
That I used to, if you've ever taken my psyche development classes in person, I would have a box and I would invite people to try to guess what was in the box.
Oh.
And in Sandy Anastasi's series, she does have exercises with telepathy and visiting different places and describing what they look like. Yes. So that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And with remote viewing too, you do want to work ethically, right? So you don't want to spy on someone or look into the bank account and see what's in there without permission. Yeah, of course. I'm making light of it, but yes.
Well, is that something that you work towards or train towards, or is that like a contract that you at birth, like Jane Roberts?
I think that some people are naturally good at that. And I think you can fine tune it. That's where I would have that box of different things, right? In this box, you didn't know what was in there, but I invited you to go in. I might have a business card. I might have a feather. I might have a battery, right? But it is something you can work towards. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And with remote viewing too, you can go into the future and see different possibilities, right? Yeah. There are different courses and trainings to learn how to do certain things. But the psychic realm is so vast, right? So I know someone in the group had asked if I was ever going to teach about Akashic Records. I have not taken the official certification course with reading the Akashic Records. However, I have been able to and can, because I trust my intuition, travel and ask to go see the Akashic Records, to see my past lives, or if a client's asking about their past lives or possibilities. It all exists. It all exists. However, with there are a couple of courses for the Akashic Record readings where there are certain prayers that you work with the different masters and so on and so forth. And that has helped many people with their gift, with taking that route, taking that route and working with those prayers as well. And the Akashic Records is a plane of consciousness where you're able to tap into and see all of the experiences of your soul. They say that when we sleep, we write down all of the things that happened, but they exist, whether we write them down or not, I believe. They exist in the collective, in the etheric realms. It's like, I see it as like plugging in. Here I am, here's my intention in my central channel. And with my intention, I go and plug into that. Just like, okay, I'm going to do, my intention is to connect with mediumship. I'm going to go into my channel and plug into the medium channel, right? And see what I receive. Does that help, Lynn, a little bit? Understand remote viewing and maybe some people are naturally gifted at it, absolutely. But I do believe you can work at it. I do believe we can work at almost anything. We may not be as fine-tuned and polished as we hoped we would be, but there are some areas we're able to fine-tune and polish it out. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that like astral traveling?
Yep. What was that, Lana?
Do you think that you might be getting into that? in a class or a workshop at some time?
Remote viewing on learning. It's a great suggestion. I'll see if I can pull something together. Yeah. Remote viewing, astral travel, and of course, you know that I'm going to emphasize you're creating your sacred space, going in your channel, maybe taking a protector guide or two with you, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Thank you.
I just had a real quick question. How do you know when you need to cleanse other than the very obvious ones?
Well, what you can do is you can have a regular routine, right?
Okay.
That will help as well. Also, sometimes people may say, you're looking a little rough, right? Like, you okay? That might be a sign like, maybe I need to cleanse, right? The obvious, yes, check in. How am I doing? Am I grumpy? Am I funky? Blah, 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 blah. But then also having a regular routine, right? So when I go into psychic space, whether it's journaling or meditation, I'm going to cleanse anyhow. I do it automatically. Do I go through my whole routine? Not always. Sometimes I need to, and sometimes I don't. You know, some days I'm saging myself a lot, and some days just maybe once when I start and then after I complete. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So back to the psychic vampires. So this is a term that most certainly has been brought to the attention of mainstream everything. So what is a psychic vampire? It's someone usually that doesn't realize that they are pushing your buttons to get a reaction, and from that reaction, they're getting energy. It's like a little kid that any attention is better than no attention. So I'm going to just do the thing that I get the most of a reaction, because then that's energy. Our reactions are energy. And there are people who have a lot of drama. There are people who just have a lot going on and often may need to be the center of attention. And again, I don't believe that they are aware that they're doing this. And how do you know that you're around psychic vampires? Well, you often will say, okay, I don't have the time nor the energy to answer that phone call or text right now. Maybe you have a date planned with this person for lunch or something, and then you're thinking, I don't know if I can do this today, because sometimes I'm whooped afterwards, right? Sometimes we start having headaches that start coming in and we start notice, oh, this is a pattern here, that after dealing with this situation, I've got a headache, okay? And so I did want to point out, because they're saying, make sure you make this point, that when you're working with people with readings, if you're in your central channel, you should not really be feeling exhausted and having headaches and all of that if you're in that channel. Now, sometimes there are situations that pull us out of the channel, and then we might notice, okay, my energy shifts, I better get back in, right? So psychic vampires are people that feed off our energy. They usually don't realize that they're doing so, but it's also because they don't know how to tap in themselves, or they're not aware of their energy. And I have also known people who are spiritual that are psychic vampires. You know, is it for me to call them out on it? Probably not. I just know that when, if I was to engage with them, that I need to work on my energy more so beforehand. So I might wear some hematite or tiger's eye jewelry and so on and so forth, and put myself in that bubble and just breathe and keep myself grounded, maybe sea roots going through my feet to the center of the earth to help me with that. And if I'm around a situation where there's a lot of energy, right, a lot of emotion, a lot of chaos, I will shake it off. I'll ground it, do whatever I can to seal up my energy field, right? And I don't want us to be homophobes and to not be around people. I want us to engage. If we work on our own energy, most of the time we can have little doses of things and still interact with our fellow friends, and sometimes it's a family member, right? That's like, oh my God, they're a psychic vampire. Holy shit, right? So then you have to just be mindful of it, set your energy. And when you have that awareness, then it's on you to create those healthy boundaries. So I don't know if I kind of connected with that, if that makes sense.
Okay, I've got another question.
Sure.
So this makes complete sense. I had a person who I haven't talked to in a while, and she came at me last night that saying, we're not talking anymore. What's the problem? And she is like that. I'm realizing now she is an energy vampire. Or how did you phrase it?
Psychic vampire.
Psychic vampire. Because she doesn't do this with other people that I know, and I'm just overwhelmed, and I just want to be done with her. I can't handle this constant baloney.
So what you can do is you can take a moment, right? Now it's like, holy moly, that's what's going on there. And this is why, right? And it's possible that she knows, and I feel like it's not consciously, it's like subconscious, the negative ego, the wounded part of her, the pain body. Read Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, the pain body, right? We all have a pain body. That her pain body knows that you want to help her in that way, and so on and so forth. And maybe other people have different unspoken boundaries with her, right? So
at this point, I don't want to help her anymore. Like, this is just too much.
Yeah, but what I would encourage you to do is to take a little bit of time and reflect upon this, and go within meditation and journal and talk to your higher self and your guides and ask them to help you with creating these healthy boundaries. And the truth, Lindsay, is that you're probably busy. I'm so-and-so, hi, so please don't take it personal, but I'm doing a lot of self-work. I'm working a lot on things these days, and I'm kind of this is my phrase for everybody, I'm going into hermit mode these days. So please don't take it personally, right? Please don't take it personally that but at this time, I'm cutting back on my socialization. I'm sending you love, I'm holding space for you, and
Right.
Yep. And so letting that person know that. So go within and just, I do believe your guides and your helpers will help you with this, right? And to help you create healthier boundaries, right? And once these people start realizing, okay, that they're doing their thing, and if she can't respect that, then that's a sign, right? That, okay, well, I'm honestly, lovingly asking you to create that boundary, right? Then this is why, because I just need to tend to myself. I made a promise to myself to tend to my needs. Yeah. And I think that's appropriate for all of us. Yeah.
The one good thing I have learned recently is if I get angry like that, I just put it to the side and I wait till I calm down, because answering in anger never helps.
No. And then you're feeding into that energy too. So you're both quartered then, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I see some comments here. So Ashley has a question. I have 3 Ashleys. So Ashley Lopes has a question. Is it true that if you cut the cords, they can grow back stronger? Depends on your reaction, I would think. They can. I don't see why not. But if you cut those cords with intention and you're mindful of all of your interactions, like, okay, I'm having a cord cutting, chakra balancing, Reiki regeneration session, whether I do it for myself or have somebody else do it. Now I need to remember that some situations may try to record subconsciously. So my intention is to be aware of when I re-engage, because this is a start over where it go, right? Like Monopoly started the start point where I go. And each interaction, I have the opportunity of doing it differently. Now, yeah, if somebody pushes your button and you're like, oh, like, you can create a stronger cord, but it has to be of your agreement in that way. I hope that answered that, Ashley.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. Jerry says that explains exactly what's happening with one of our groups. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Right. Being aware, seeing it, knowing it, recognizing it, it definitely helps us, like, oh, okay, that's what's going on. I have the opportunity of shifting it. All right, so Ashley Pittman has a question. You have mentioned a spiritual counsel. Can I expand upon that? Yes, your spiritual counsel, your wisdom counsel are all of your helpers, your guides, your ancestors that are assisting you, your higher self. It's this council of assistance. And sometimes I will receive a message from one, and I know who's coming through. And sometimes I just hear my wisdom counsel, like the collective consciousness that I agreed to work with when I came here to this planet. Yeah, my helpers. So you could call them whatever you want, your dream team, your wisdom council. There was another term I heard come through with some scrying that I did. It was like the assembly of light or something. So it's your spiritual helpers, your non-physical assistants and help that agreed that you are contracted and agreed that they would assist you on this journey. Okay. All right, I see another. Jerry, you have another question? Oh, you have to unmute. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate this topic coming up because I never did understand psychic vampires as how you described it today. But it makes perfect sense for what's been going on here the past few days. And it's been very draining. And because I didn't understand it, I did get sucked into some of the drama of it between everybody because it's really upsetting most of the group.
Sure.
That being said, when Lindsay was talking, it made me feel like, and then I related it to what's happening this week, is that I feel like that experience is coming in to teach us this so we can be aware of it and know and have the tools to, like you said, hold her in light, hold them space, and this sort of thing. So I think this is like a really big thing today to have this lesson and to have this realization. But also a long time ago I was in a class and we were trained like to envelop ourselves in mirrors, but the reflective side was outward toward the person, all around us. It was reflecting out there, so it was sort of a form of protection. And I didn't know, would that be overkill for a situation like that?
No, absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely
okay.
not. You are putting another layer of protection. I don't have another word. A bumper of energy around
Right.
you so that you don't pull it in, right? And also, I do believe we've all been the offender and creating a psychic attack for other people too. Without
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
We've
absolutely.
all done it, right?
Yeah,
Right here.
yeah.
I've done it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And we've all done that in our lives. So we've all been in that situation. And so I think we can address it with empathy, but healthy boundaries, right? And can you imagine if everybody was able to have these understandings, like how things would look so much different in our world? I wouldn't say we'd all be perfect, but we wouldn't have so much dysfunction for so long, right?
Mm,
Yeah. It wouldn't be perfect, but probably we would cut down on some of the relationships and times that we're missing out with people too, right? Because of
right.
misunderstandings and so on and so forth. But we do need
Exactly.
to, but we are responsible for what we allow into our personal space, or the energies or the thoughts, and this is about being self-aware. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Excellent topic.
It is
I
a
do-
great topic.
Yeah.
I do mirror lighting all the time, Jerry. So it works. It bounces that junk off that you don't want, for sure.
I do it with people that I have been like very narcissistic kind of personalities, and I've done that. But I didn't know in a like in a friend situation if that would be like an overkill to surround yourself in mirrors. Because I used to do it all the time in a bad situation, but what's going on right now, I guess it kind of caught me off guard, and I'm not, I'm on a vacation mode, so I'm not on my game, but it's teaching me this is a good lesson this week to practice a bunch of our tools, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And things come up with people, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, sometimes we're adding to the challenge and sometimes we're neutral, right?
Right. I was definitely going down the non-neutral path. So this is just perfect.
But then we, you know, I want to bring in the point that we are human and nobody's perfect.
Too.
And sometimes we have really terrible moments where like, oh my God, what came over me? I don't know, but I'm sorry. Right. So again, I want us to be human and to be able to take responsibility and to not be these perfect, shiny beings walking around like robots. We all have something. We've all been that psychic vampire. We've been the victim of psychic vampirism, I guess you can call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Thanks.
you're welcome. So when we, you know, I would suggest going into all of those, a lot of the protection suggestions that I have. If you feel like, okay, I've got some of that energy going on with the headaches, the feeling off, feeling angry, you know, sea salt baths, Dead Sea salt. Taking Dead Sea salt baths also really good for you as well. Dead Sea salt, because it helps recalibrate your auric matrix. Okay, so it's from that part of the world that helps with doing that too. So salt bath, saging, spending time in nature, Reiki, cord cuttings, working with crystals, working with aromatherapy, whatever method you're drawn to, work with that. And I will put that Archangel Michael Tube of Light meditation in the bonus area. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, comments? I know something's going to come up.
I have a question.
Yep.
How would you, like, I've been wanting a Reiki session, but how do you know, or how can you do research that they're really good at what they're doing?
You ask for referrals.
Okay.
That's one way, right? So you can ask for a referral. You can go to people that maybe you're spiritual people and say, hey, you know, have you ever had Reiki? Or, you know, and they may say, you know, someone who's local or whatever, and just like, they may say, yes, well, who do you go to and why, right? But also I invite you to do your research, to look online, to see if there are people that maybe you're drawn to and they're a Reiki practitioner, and looking at their reviews and interacting with them and so on and so forth. Yeah. There's some really great practitioners out there and locally. Yep. All right. So I don't see any.
Oh.
Yes.
Something that this is just, you know, something that I do as far as a technique. Sometimes those psychic vampires, they could be a loved one. So, and something that I keep in mind is there is people that I love them, but I don't like them. They're two totally different things. So, so the best way I can look at it is though that I'm going to send them love. I'm going to be loving towards them. I'm going to give them the love that I can possibly give them. But it's one thing to keep someone at arm's distance versus somebody that you keep here.
Mm-hmm.
So whether how much you love them, if they're not healthy for you or your energy, no matter who, whether it's a family member or a best friend, sometimes it's just nice to be self-isolate from them, but just keep them at an arm's distance. Don't cut them off completely. In especially situations when you can't cut certain people off.
Yeah, kind of like the situation with Lindsay, right? To say, you know, also, I'm taking care of myself these days, you know, I'm kind of going into hermit mode. I mean, it happens, you know, some of these people in our lives, the relatives, they've come to teach us unconditional love and boundaries. Yeah. Right? And then when they leave, you smoke it out in the house with the sage. And then they come back and they go, wait a minute, what's going on here? No, but yes, that is a very valid point, because there are family members and some longtime friends and acquaintances and sometimes coworkers that are a lot of energy. And it's important that we are aware of what we can do on our end, and to breathe, and to try not to have like to be responsible with how we communicate those things. Yeah. All right. Other questions?
Barb.
Jesse?
Barb has a question.
Oh, Barb does? Oh, I can't see. Barb, do you want to unmute yourself? There you are. You can unmute yourself. Can you hear it?
Unmute yourself, Barb.
There you go.
Okay, told you I wasn't good at this.
You're fine.
One thing in regards to the psychic vampiring and you're feeling, negative energy from somebody, and we all obviously have those types of people, both family-wise and friends. And what I do when I feel that is, since I'm into Reiki a lot, I take my hand and I cover my solar plexus. And I cover that area, so when we're interacting, it's kind of protecting me, so I don't absorb that energy. And then afterwards, when when I finish interacting with them, then I kind of just say, just release any negative energy that's around me. But I cover my solar plexus area because that's where I get hit. So that seems helpful for me.
That's an excellent point, right? A lot of times empaths pull that energy in through the solar plexus, and that will help you not to emotionally engage as much. Yeah, excellent point. Thank you, Barb. And Ashley Pittman says, thanks, Barb.
So Barb, do you give your own self Reiki?
You can do that. That is part of Reiki level 1. And what if you don't know Reiki? What if you haven't taken a Reiki course? Well, you can still warm up your hands, turn on those palm chakras, and just put your hands on the major chakra areas, right? Your crown, third eye. Just give yourself some time. There's a lovely smudging ritual too, that you smudge starting with the root and fan the smoke to the root. Then you move up to the sacral chakra, fan the smoke there 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then move up the body. That also helps as well. Let's see a comment in here. And I think, is that the iPhone? I think that is Patty. Someone says, I pull my aura in closer, tell myself to suit up like a superhero. There you go. Zip up. Yeah. Yep, it is Patty. Yeah. Zip yourself up, right? Pull your energy field in closer. That's an excellent one. And I encourage you, when you go out and about, when you're out in public too, don't go out there wide open. Pull your energy field in. You don't need to be mingling with everybody's energy field, right? Yeah, awesome. And then Vanessa says she loves that about the solar plexus. And she uses a vision of a cube of pyrite and she puts herself in it and seals it up. That's pretty awesome, because then you also have the square sacred geometry and putting yourself in that as well. Excellent, excellent. I love these tips. Yeah.
Lori?
Yeah.
I was wondering, okay, the solar plexus, is that like your gut?
Yes.
Okay, so I've been having a lot of tension like there, and is that like from this, or?
Yeah, it could be. It could be that you're clairsentient and empath. You could feel what's going on in the collective. It could be with your relationships. Yeah, so I would do some solar plexus work, right? So working with the color yellow, shielding that area, seeing your left hand, pulling the energy out, going counterclockwise, brushing off the energy, then going clockwise with your right hand, seeing yellow and filling up that energy center with light. There's aromatherapy you can work with for the solar plexus. You can also do the mirrors, right? See those shields in front of you. If you're in a situation, you can put a book or cross your arms in front of your solar plexus to help shield the energy as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So Lori, your right hand pulls in, your left hand pulls out?
So what I see is in my left hand, I see in the center that there's like a magnet. So I go with my left hand I take my left hand, I see this magnet that's going to collect energy. And I see it like those, remember those little drawing things with a magnetic thing? You can make the face and it has all the little metal, the magnetic filings, like the guy with the face with the nose, right? I see that my hand as being a main magnet. And then I move my hand over all of my chakras, not just the solar plexus, but then I go counterclockwise. And I imagine like the little filings, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, I don't need to know, kind of being attracted to this magnet. This magnet is collecting that energy. And I go one chakra at a time, and I go counterclockwise until I feel like, that feels like it's full. And then I take my hands and I brush it off. So I don't want to take that energy into my system because I'm trying to pull it out, right? So then I brush my hands and I blow it. And then I take my right hand and I'll see whatever chakra color. If it's the solar plexus, I'll see yellow, and I'll go clockwise. And I'm infusing the energy of healthy, yellow, gorgeous yellow energy like the sun, happy, joyful, empowered, healthy boundaries. And I keep moving it clockwise until I'm done. And then I do this again. And then I go up the whole system. But I usually start at the root and then I move up. You could do this for other people if you do energy work, or if they ask you, or you can offer it. That could help too with psychic headaches too, right? Over your third eye. Pulling that energy. I've never thought of doing it, but yes, you can do that, right? And then you'll see the color with your third eye, like an indigo color, right? Pulling it out with the left, infusing with the right. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'm going to go over just some of the material that I have here, and then we'll take it from there. Yeah, everybody good right now? Okay. I only have the little strip on the side that I only see a few people. So if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Crystal had one. She's working on it.
Yep. I'm
Okay.
trying. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to share a little aha moment I had. Yesterday I had a client friend come in, and it was actually the 5-year anniversary that her nephew had passed. And I asked her if I could go into her space while I was washing her hair, and she said yes. And he came right in right away, and his whole demeanor was there, like what I was telling her and how I was portraying it. She's like, oh my gosh, that's so him, that's so his personality. And as he was telling me stuff, I said, okay, give me something that's for her, that she needs to hear. And she had previously kept saying something about her daughter, and he said to me clear as day, Aunt Sam, you asked me to watch her. And my girlfriend kept saying, yeah, I don't know why he's so connected to Hannah. They were never close, and da 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 da. So I kind of felt like it was validation for me, but also validation for her, because it was something that she must have asked me probably 5 or 6 times, or said it in conversation. So it was him answering her question, which was awesome. And then a little while later, she started asking me more stuff about him, and he actually made me feel when he got sober, and had her play his song of him singing the song. And I didn't know the song. Mm-hmm. And he told me to tell her, I made you play that. And there were just all these different things that had happened, but it was just such a beautiful experience for her and for me. Mm-hmm. And it was such a gift for me to be able to give to her on the day of his 5-year anniversary, and all these different things. I mean, we cried together, and I helped her heal, and it was beautiful. So I just thought everybody would enjoy hearing how our gifts truly help so many people and help them to heal in so many different profound ways.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And thank you for sharing that, because it is such a sacred process. And that's why I really emphasize having permission and being in that state, right? And with your mind, your body, your spirit, your emotions, to be in the space to hold that energy, to be able to channel those messages, right? To share those messages.
Yes.
And we have the potential of, or the responsibility of being the connector and validating messages. And we also have, you know, the power to abuse that power, right? You can, and I have seen people do that, right? So it's such a sacred process, and I am so grateful that you shared, Crystal, because she'll never forget that, right?
Most definitely.
Exactly. And it was your validation of, you allowed it to flow. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, right?
Exactly.
And why I want to learn more about this and more about my own gift. So thank you for sharing. Yeah.
One of the other things is one of the hugest things that part of why I feel like I was drawn to this class was for me to learn the ethical part, because it had always been something that I had started doing maybe probably like 7 years ago or whatever. And at that point I was just telling people stuff because I didn't know any different or better. Mm-hmm. And now I'm finally understanding the ethical part of it. And it's been really good for me to understand it all. So it's awesome to find out the other pieces that were missing with my gifts.
Yeah. And that's so awesome, because now you're learning that, oh, I have her permission. I can move into that energy and I can turn it on. And then when we're done, I turn it off. And that's practice, right? So it's you have, when you set your intention, you move into the energy. That's your yes. It starts happening. Or maybe, you know, and sometimes the message will come through more clearly than others. Sometimes it's not you, by the way. Sometimes it's the spirit. They're not a good communicator, and they're still trying to learn how to play psychic charades.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, thank you for letting me share space.
Of course. Thank you. So I was going to ask, has anyone else been able to practice outside of the group with anyone? Heather, yes. I have to say, Heather, with your fan, I think I'm looking at Beyonce, like that video. Yep. I think that every time. Okay.
I like being compared to Beyonce, so thank you. Did you want me to talk about it?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, so I've been, well, it's really odd. I've been having just people kind of contacting me that I've never met before, saying like, my son passed away and I don't know why I'm messaging you, but do you have anything for me? Or just different things like that have been happening. And so there's a person who has even had multiple sessions with me. And what I think is really great about it is, so the easy part is like, first you make that connection of like, I'm getting bunnies, they're new, they're making you happy, I can feel it in their solar plexus, it's just something silly and little, and they're like, oh, I just got these new fluffy bunny slippers that I love, and then they feel seen and heard, like automatically by something bigger than themselves. This person is in London, so, and I have no connection to her, and then as I'm reading and getting more, and, you know, maybe there's a job or something going on that they're wanting to get and they're feeling anxious, what I really love about it is then you can just bring in all the love that's there for them, because I think that that's at the core of all of our practices, is just bringing more love to ourselves and then showing more love to each other. And then, you know, after they feel seen and heard, then they feel empowered. You know, that, for example, in the situation with the job, you know, reminding them that they're the talent and that it's a privilege to be hired, you know, to have them as an employee, and to kind of like help their perspective be a little bit more rooted in empowerment and self-love. And I feel like that has been, I've never been paid for something that I've enjoyed more. So I've really been enjoying the journey of doing that because of that process.
Thank you for sharing. And that is so important too, that you go to a spiritual advisor to be heard, that they are not going to judge you. And that what I state in my sessions is that I always trust whatever comes through is for your highest and best good to support you on your journey, right? It's about, sometimes it's a validation, but it's also more comforting to know that you're not going to judge me and pick me apart and say, you're going to help me leave with optimism, right? That I may have some really crappy stuff coming up and that I'm dealing with, but there's hope, and there are different potential outcomes and different things that I can do to support myself on this journey. Yeah. Thank you.
I also really appreciate, the boundaries that you help me set, because I know that there are sessions where I'll say, they'll want like a specific person to come through or a specific answer. And I know to start off by like tempering their expectations by saying, I am here to provide you the insight that Spirit wants you to hear right now on this place. So I can't promise that you'll get everything that you want, but it'll be what you need to be right here. And then also helps it not be like a codependent type of thing where I'm the one that's giving them the information to, you know what I mean? It's more like, this is just for your empowerment that you found right now to take on your journey as you go forward. Because they're really the ones with the true abilities to take what we say and turn it into magical things for themselves. So I appreciate all that I learned here for that.
Oh, thank you. And it's great to hear that you're able to apply it and to see how it has supported you on your journey. Thank you. Thank you, Heather. Has anyone else gotten out there? Unmute yourself if you have. And
I had one, it's Crystal. I had one quick question, and this actually goes back to the client or friend client that I was telling you about. The message that I had given her and told her, and even while I was giving her the message, the nephew had said about his mom and how his mom couldn't handle knowing more and things like that at this point. But then the next day, my girlfriend had all these after she shared the experience that her and I had. The sister had almost kind of freaked out and wanted to talk to me and wants to know everything and all this stuff. How do I guess, set healthy boundaries if it's not her timing to know more? And that was kind of what I had told my girlfriend. She's like, my girlfriend was like, well, my sister's upset that he's not with her all the time, da 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 da. And where he had said to me, well, Aunt Sam, look at what she's done to my grave. Look at her every day at my grave. Like, if I gave her more, what do you think she'd do with that? Like, I gave my girlfriend the answer he gave me, but now the sister is still persistent and wanting to meet with me and talk with me. What would you suggest I do with that?
So there is the potential for courting, right? The reaction and so on and so forth. But it's her son that had passed. So there's a different layer or experience of grief that she's going through. And I have had this happen many times where family members have come in, they have all these signs, and the person who is closest to them is like, I don't have anything. So sometimes there's the different experience of grief. Sometimes they are receiving signs, and the signs are different than what the other people are having, you know? Right. So, yeah, it is going to be different for everyone. I would encourage her to set up a session, but as Heather mentioned, how you set this is what a session looks like. I will share with you what I have. And I can't promise, the same experience, but let's hold space, and we'll trust and see what happens through this reading. But it mainly is, I do believe that there's a different experience of the grief. And, and it's possible that the sister has some guilt around it. Like, it's more than just grief. There's a lot that's all going into that, the responsibility, and I should have blah, 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 and all of that. And those feelings and emotions, I'm not saying that they have to be healed before she can receive more messages, but I think she's receiving. That's what I got. But I also think she's receiving messages that she doesn't realize are messages. Like, she wants 100%. All of the message. I want the messages you're getting, and how you all receive it.
Yes.
And we're not really all in control of that. But I do think that the more that the mom recognizes that that's a sign, oh, that's my son, that's the sign, that it's going to help, almost like the psychic hit list, that's going to
Yes.
help her with her comfort and her validation that he's still there. And here's the thing too, is that spirits are not always available. And I see this happen a lot in reading. Someone will say, well, my husband used to come to me all the time. I don't feel him anymore. Well, maybe he's busy. Maybe he has nothing new to say. Maybe he doesn't want you to become so used to the experience that it's not special anymore. Right? There's so many different reasons why.
Dependence.
Yeah, codependence. Yeah, and that's the courting thing too, because you can be courted to someone you loved in spirit as well, right? There's just so many different experiences and different scenarios and reasons why everyone has a different experience. Not everyone is going to have the same experience with a loved one that has crossed over. Yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you.
That's a good point, because that does happen often. Yeah.
I felt like spirit screamed at me to bring that up.
Yeah. And so when
I think more than one of us needed to hear it.
Absolutely. And when you do read for that woman, I would encourage you to make sure you're really grounded, because of course she has, so much going on with that, right? You don't want to be taken on this wild ride. You want to make sure you take your time to prepare. You get yourself to your office early. You smudge, you set your space, have some grounding tools nearby, have what you're going to say written down, such as your prayer of intention. And It's not a bad idea to have that ahead of time, knowing, sharing with people what to expect, right?
I love that idea. Yeah. Do you have anything, or could you possibly give us something like you say?
Yeah, I'll put that in my opening, I'll put my opening of how I share what I do in the bonus section.
That would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and feel free to tweak it too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was able to have my friend Emily came through for her mom. I just did a quick sketch, and I just heard her say, "I love you, Mom," and I did some trees and stuff, and I didn't realize that Emily loves trees or loved them, and she had them all over her house, and so it was really special for her mom, and it was really neat.
That's awesome, right? It's like, how could I have known that? I didn't. That means that's a valid sign, right? And that does help us too, and where Heather was talking about how it usually starts warming up. So they start giving you clues and identifying scenarios or signs. So say someone was they're showing me, what I'm seeing right now are books, bunnies, the time of April, Wisconsin, and then they'll be like, aha, right? And then they're like, I know who that is. That makes so much sense. And that helps make that connection, that validation that you're in sync with each other. And that's a lot of times how it comes through, how it starts. But it may start different for some of you, but often that's how my sessions usually will start, with the identifying, and I have this person here, and so on and so forth. Anybody else get out there and practice? Or not just practice, but facilitate a reading? Anybody outside the group? All right. Okay. So I did want to talk a little bit about some of the signs, unless there was another question that may pop up for anybody. Okay. So I posted this in the bonus area as well, about some of the common signs that come in. And there are so many different signs and messages, how spirit validates that they are around us. So they often do provide us with signs from the other side as a validation that they exist and are nearby and making a connection with you. And so one of life's most challenging events is when someone we care about crosses over to the other side. And on the other side, they are busy in their non-physical form, but they aren't too busy to let us know that they are nearby and assist us to the best of their abilities. I do think, though, sometimes that we're asking them for help with something and they're like, I don't know if I can help you with that. I still think that they still have their personalities, but they do love. I have found that over the years that spirits do love the validation that life continues on, that my existence still exists. Yeah. So one of the things you may smell, you can smell their familiar scents, such as cigarette smoke or cologne or perfume, flowers or foods that are unique to them, right? So you could be alone watching TV or reading a book at night, and all of a sudden this aroma will come in. That often is a sign that they're nearby. Sometimes you may find coins with dates on them that correspond with their birth year or the year that they passed, or a significant memory. That often happens. If I find a coin in an unusual spot, I'll pick it up and I'll look at the year, and then I'm able to kind of go through my own database of who that is. License plates. I look at license plates all the time. I'm in the car driving, and sometimes license plates with people's initials or numbers, they may have significance. So those are also ways that they provide messages and or validation. Songs on the radio will play just at the right time when you need it, right? And sometimes in a session, I will hear a certain song or a certain genre or a certain recording artist. Like I might see John Denver with like Sunshine on the Water, and I will relay that to the client. And or there are songs that I have that validate for me that my loved ones are around. So often you may see electronics, as we talked about earlier, lights flickering are often caused by a loved one who's nearby. Lights, electronics, something turning off, turning on, the channel changing, they can do that too. Keywords and or messages from other people are another way that they do try to get that message through to us, for us. Such as like Heather was mentioning about her little one, mentioning about the brother that lived in the tummy, right? It's like, okay, that's a validation from my other child. Pets looking at nothing. The pets, animals, they look at nothing. They're barking, meowing, or even licking the air, and often it's often visitors that are in the room connecting with them, right? Sometimes they'll bark at nothing. My cat all the time, like, okay, who's there? Who's there, Eva, right? And the dogs too sometimes, right? Sometimes they just start wagging their tail. It's like, okay, who's there, right? And they're off in the corner. Also wildlife, nature, wildlife, birds, butterflies that come to visit are often signs that a loved one is near. And I also encourage you to make note of those visitors. At the Fort Myers Mystical Moon, where I sit in my chair in my room, I can see out the window. And often I'm in a session, like a phone session or in person, there's a certain colored butterfly that may come through, a hawk. I've seen all different types of signs from spirit. And if I see it in that session, I'm definitely going to relay that message. Also, number sequences on the clock. Your register receipt total and or telephone numbers are also ways that they communicate with you, right? Number sequences, the change, the receipts, license plate numbers, just different sequences. The time you wake up, right? Looking at the clock, waking up at certain times, those are also validations. Also, visits in the dreams are not just coincidences. 9 times out of 10, they are real experiences in the astral, right? So if you don't remember your dreams, that's okay. The more you meditate, the more you ask Spirit to assist you with remembering your dreams, the more that you will remember your dreams. And lately, I've been doing a lot of meditating before bed, and so I've been having the most craziest, interesting dreams, you know, and not all are my loved ones, but I'm still writing them down with certain names that are coming through and so on and so forth. But they do provide signs. Those are just some of the signs that they leave. Feathers is a sign as well, right? The chills, sometimes we get the goosebumps, right? Those are also spirit validations as well. All right. So Any questions about some of those signs or anything else anybody wanted to share? And remember too that they're not just people; they're also animals too.
I have a really neat experience I like to share. My grandmother's china, my mother gave it to me a couple years ago, and it's been in boxes and just taking up space at this point. And I had been mentioning the last several months that I wanted to get a china cabinet. Well, Thursday at one of our group meetings, I believe that my grandmother came through. So by a description that someone had mentioned when we were doing our little mini messages, excuse me. So my fiance had a customer mention to him that they had a china cabinet that she was wondering if they would help them move. And he's sent me a picture of it, and here's the china cabinet.
Oh, wow.
So very cool. It's my grandmother's china cabinet. I mean, my grandmother's china. And it's just, I feel like that was her coming through.
Yeah,
So to me, that was an aha moment.
That's awesome. And so then here she's like, I'm going to help you coordinate this. You need somewhere to put it. It doesn't belong in the boxes. Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool synchronicity. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And when I might have put this in some of the spirit identification, when I'm in session too, I will ask the soul that's coming through, what are some of the signs that you leave for them? Like, how do they know it's you? Have you left your calling card? And then usually they'll give me a little something. Yeah, and I'll describe it. All right. So, as I mentioned earlier, that the material in this group, in the Kajabi, and the Facebook group is still open, is there for your review. Feel free to watch or listen as often as you'd like. I will continue to be updating the information in there. I think I updated with also some books I put in there, suggested reading material. I'll put a little bit of the my prayer. I have an article I wrote, a blog on psychic vampires, so that might help a little bit as well. And then we do have practice next week if you can make it. Aw. Barb had a question for me about my Ralphie. Ralphie's doing okay. My little pug Ralphie. Yeah, he's an interesting little guy. He had a little bit of a health scare this past year, well, last year, and he's doing better. Thank you for asking. Yeah. And some of you may fine tune and specialize in pet communication too. That's also something that, believe it or not, there's a high demand for that. For not only connecting with your crossed over pets, but the pets who are here too. You can do those scans, right? I don't know if anybody did the scan or watched the video where I talk about the scan of the body and looking at the different parts, the different chakras, the different organs, and tapping in to see if you feel anything or see anything, if there's a message to share.
I have something about the animals. So since we talked last Thursday, and I was like, I want to know if Teddy Bear is coming through, and ever since then, he was born on 10/23. Now I see 23 all the time. Yeah. I'm like, okay, hey buddy, how you doing?
Aw, yeah, they'll do that.
Yeah, and the other part was last year, like, I love the zoo. I love animals. And so I was looking up on YouTube on how to communicate with them. And so, I went in kind of like an asshole and like, look at me, if you can hear me or whatever. And then I realized, hey, why don't you introduce yourself? Give them the opportunity to do this. And if they want to, great. So it worked with the lions and then every animal after that. Mm-hmm. It was so cool.
Oh, that is so cool. Yeah, because it's still your psychic awareness, right? So set that intention. Yes, introduce yourself and see if they have anything to say or they want to communicate. And a lot of times it's through telepathy too, mind to mind, thought to thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. All right. Does anyone else have anything to share that hasn't shared or wanted to say anything? And Barb did say that her clients at the vet clinic love Reiki for their pets when they're sick. It does help. It does really help bring in the light and comfort them. And that she does it when needed or asked. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it does help support.
I did actually have an experience with an animal at the beach. One time, it was after my mom had passed and everything, and we had already released her ashes. And it was before I moved over here to Miami, and it was one of those, I think it's like a great egret, I'm not sure. It's one of those tall, long neck white birds. They're out on the beach every now and again. And so I was at Bonita Beach, and this bird hung out with me. And I mean, under my tent, I wasn't even feeding it or anything. Well, eventually I did, but he was just hanging out with me, and I felt the spirit of my mom. And so much so, it was like I'm on my purse, on my book, like all that. Like I even took a selfie with it, and it looked like it was photobombing me. I mean, I had posted it it was in 2018. So yesterday, after our group session, not yesterday, the day before yesterday, was it yesterday? I don't know. But I was thinking about our session, and as I went for a walk for a little bit while my daughter was doing her schooling, my dad's inside, went for a walk, and coming back, I see this same bird, and it made me think of that moment. And this bird is staring at me and walking along as if it's trying to meet me at our path intersection, to the point where we just had a little standoff. We just stood at each other and just looked. And I just said, "Hey, Mom," you know, I felt like it was her, where it was like a messenger, but it was cool. I don't know, I was kind of hesitant to say anything about it, but the fact that you brought up the animal connection, really, I'm like, okay, let me bring this up, because it was cool that something 2 years ago that I related with, we've been in this subject of, mediumship and what we're learning. This bird comes up to me again, and I don't see those all the time here in the like man-made lakes in Miami and stuff like that, where I'm at right now. So it was kind of a blessing.
That's really sweet. That is really sweet. And you don't see it all the time. So you don't you're not immune to it. And yes, your mother's spirit can move through the egret as well. Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you. So, Amanda.
Hi.
Hi.
When you brought up the animals, this happened just yesterday, and it's happened probably 6 or 7 times in the last 3 years. I have a cat, Buddy, that I've had for, I don't know, probably 14 years. And 3 years ago, I brought in 3 ferals that lived outside here, the kittens. And there's only one female, and she's a little black and white, and she will sit and stare directly in his face, Buddy's face, and meow and meow and meow. I mean, nonstop for like 10 minutes. And I can't imagine what she's doing, what is going on. And do you think there's anything there? It's bizarre.
Yeah, she wants to be heard. She has a lot
By
to say.
him. It's the only cat she communicates with like that.
He's a good listener.
Okay.
Right? He just sits there, right?
Yeah, and stares at her like she's crazy.
Yeah, but he's listening. But
yes, he is.
Exactly. I'm gonna talk to you, Buddy. You're my only friend. I really think I think that they have a bond. He's a good listener. He's a patient guy, and she just has a lot to say, and she's expressing herself. Yeah.
She constantly tries to nurse from the other male cat, her brother. She's a little confused.
Yeah, she has a little abandonment. She just wants to be heard. She wants to be nurtured. Yeah. Aw. Aw. Yeah, maybe she's asking him questions and maybe he's answering through telepathy, mind. I feel like it's more of her talking though. Yeah. I would invite you next time to go into your psychic space and just try to tap in and see what's going on. See if you can pick up on what she's saying and what he's, thinking. Like, geez, are you done yet? Who knows? Yeah. Yeah. Aw, that's cute. But I'm sure if it's not too loud for 10 minutes, it might not be that cute. Anyone else want to share who hasn't said anything or just observation?
Miss Jessie, so last Saturday, soon as you started opening up with prayer, I was lighting my sage and I felt some touch hand really light. And I looked to make sure, the feather was in my other hand. So I'm like, well, the feather couldn't have touched it because, it's far apart.
Yeah.
And the same thing with this Saturday. Instead of my hand, as soon as you started prayer, I felt something touch my left foot. I'm like, oh, your prayers are powerful.
Well, who do you think it is? And that's also
one of my guides.
It could be. I mean, that's up to you to go into that space, but also don't forget we're also in the group. It's the power of the group as well, right? We're all interconnected and we're creating a significant vortex of energy as well. And I do think it's probably going to happen when you continue to do that as well with your prayers of intention and setting the space. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Jerry. Thank you, Jessie.
I have a question. Is Jessie done? Yes? Okay. So I totally forgot about this question, but it relates to the mini sessions. And I feel like, and this has happened to me before when I've gone to a group that did meditations, and then the leader of that group would give messages. And then as a participant, if the participant received a message for someone in the group, you would, ask permission to give the person that message. And if they said yes, you would give them that message. And I felt very strong, like I did in our first mini session. After we did the channel meditation, we were getting the channel and open and this sort of thing. And when I picked two of the people, the information just flew kind of down on the page for me. But when we went and then did the practice with the two photos that you put up the first time, and I went into the channel on my own, and I really felt disappointed because a lot of what I think I got was really inaccurate. And I only hit on maybe when we went over it with you, it was only a couple of pieces. And I think, how do you get that, the kind of strength and hearing ability that is there with the group energy, so to speak, to be on the individual energy? Does that make sense how I'm saying that?
Yeah, of course. And it takes practice.
I'm way out of practice.
Yeah, but also in your own spiritual practice, do you go through all the motions, right? Do you do you take a moment? Do you breathe, or do you just jump right into it? Because sometimes.
Well, I do know I was tired that day when I was doing the pictures, and I was rushing.
Yep.
I was rushing because I wanted to get it in on time, that sort of thing. So I did realize that after the fact. Mm-hmm. So, I know it's there. I've done it before.
but that's the circumstances, right? So when I have
Yeah.
days scheduled with sessions, they know at the front desk, don't bother me. I am preparing for my sessions. In between sessions, if something pops up front, don't bother me because I want to stay in the space, right?
Yeah.
So it takes me a little while to set my space. I don't just turn
Okay.
it on and off. I respect the process so much. I know when I'm tired. I know when I need to maybe see if I can move some appointments. I know this. I know myself, right?
Right.
There is a difference, right? When we're hurried and we're rushing and we're overwhelmed and there's just a lot going on, to when we're able to take our time and to move into the energy and set the space and relax into it. It makes a huge difference.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely feel like I was rushing and I was tired
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's life,
Thank you.
right? You're welcome. Life happens, and some days
Yeah.
are harder than others, and some days flow, and some days you sleep better, some days you're up all night, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's right. And the fact that we're able to acknowledge this and recognize, like, yeah, I'm still going to give it a try. I'm going to go through the motions, but I am aware that I may not have had enough time to prepare, right? And so
Yeah.
you might surprise yourself and like get bing, 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 get it all right. You never know.
Well, and I think it comes over time when it's sort of like a muscle. And when you train the muscle to do the connection, and it's kind of more, because for me, what my intention was, when, I don't know if we did this with you personally or not, but my intention, there was something in one of your meditations that said, you're going to get a symbol or something from a guide or whatever. And for me, one of the symbols that I got was a rose. And I wanted to set the intention that, okay, because I'm impatient. And so I want to be able to, do the breathing. And then maybe I'm just going to say rose 3 times and then I'm in, so
Yeah.
it's, so yeah. But I think it's like that muscle. And when you use it more, it strengthens. And then so you do know when you're in a solid connection, and you do recognize faster when you are rushing or too tired.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I wasn't recognizing it that day, but I was disappointed in the result. Let's say that.
Yeah, that's natural.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think other people can relate. Yeah.
Oh, it seemed like a crazy question. And can I recommend a book?
Sure.
Okay. And I know it's kind of a harder book to get. I have it here. I just have to pull it because I don't know if this looks, is that in reverse? Is it backwards?
What does it say?
Okay. It says, "Many were called, few were chosen." It's by Heather Ann Harder. Dr. Heather Ann Harder. It's the story of Earth-based volunteers, and it kind of gives a little overview of how we came as spirit to the planet, as helpers of the planet, and then we kind of little by little learned we had free will, and that's where things kind of got, we were still talking telepathically to each other, and then we had voice, and then we realized we had choice, and things kind of went a little and so it kind of helps remind of who we were originally.
Mm-hmm.
It's helped me a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry.
I'll just throw it out there.
Thank you. Appreciate
and it's a short book, so
short read.
short read. Yeah. Thanks. I've really enjoyed this. I appreciate this, and I've learned a lot from all the other participants too. Yeah, it's been a very good class.
Thank you.
Real quick, I wanted to, Jerry, if you haven't heard of Dolores Cannon, you need to check out Dolores Cannon. She is a past life regressionist who has written 20 plus books on that. And I'm in the middle of reading them all and completely addicted. So she has something called quantum healing hypnosis therapy, where she puts you in regression and it explores your subconscious and past lives. And
I've done regression therapy.
So
years. I've done all of that. I've done soul retrieval.
Was it QHHT?
I don't remember. It
Yeah.
was over 15 years ago,
Right.
but
Well,
I've
check
done
out Dolores Cannon if you
soul
want more.
retrieval, regression, hypnosis. I've done all of it. All of that.
She's
Yeah.
really cool. So check it out.
I will definitely look her up.
Thank you.
Thank
And I
you.
will add Dolores Cannon to my reading.
Yeah.
To any and all Dolores Cannon. There are so many really great authors out there too.
That's
yeah. Thank
Mhm.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Chat. Would you be willing to write it in the chat? The book?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Jerry. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So thank you, Ashley. Dolores Cannon. All right. So we're coming up on the 2 hour here. I believe in the announcements. I think everybody has my email, lori@loribaracco.com. I welcome you. You're free to email me if anything pops up. Yeah, if anything pops up, any other questions in your practice, or just some things that may be emerging, on a spirit level, feel free to email me. All right. Oh, I thought you were unmuting yourself, Amanda, but you're just looking at the chat. Yeah. All right. So before you sign off, right? So after I set the prayer and open the space, unmute yourself and say goodbye, because that's kind of fun when we all do that. So we're not going to do it yet, right? But we have practice coming up next week. Some of you have not yet sent in the days, your preference of days. And the Facebook group, there are, I invited you guys to write some questions in there, and whoever wants to practice your psychic ability, skills, your gifts, to write some answers in that group, in the mediumship private Facebook group as well. It's great practice. All right. Feels pretty complete. Yeah. All right. Well, it's been my pleasure connecting as a group such as this. And we'll see, maybe down the road in a couple of months or so, I'll send out an email if anybody wants to connect in the group setting, just to check and touch base and see how you all are doing.
I want to say something real quick. I have a positivity group on Facebook. So if you're looking just for silly laughs and inspirational stuff, it's called One Love Now. I'll write it in there. So feel free to either Facebook me. I'm Ash. I'll write it in the chats, but it's just, I'm looking to find a space on Facebook that doesn't make me want to cry. And I love people. Lindsay joined, and Lori's in it. So, but it literally is just all about positivity, no politics, no anything like that at all. So I'd love for y'all to join me if you'd like.
Yeah, put it in there. And you could even share your link in the mediumship group too. There's some funny stuff in there too. I'm like, oh, that's really funny. I mean,
there's like there are few, it borderlines, and there's a few F-bombs in there. So as long as you can handle that, it is really funny. The whole point is to remind us that we're all connected and we have so much more in common than we don't. So anyway.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, and feel free, you can type it in here too, but also share your group, the link for that in the Facebook group too. Thank you. Deb, were you going to say something? I didn't know if you were unmuting yourself. Okay. It's good to see you. All right. Was anyone else going to share something? I felt like there was one more share. No? Yes. Okay. All righty. So let's all connect in. Gosh, it feels like this group is going to continue on. That's why I said I feel like I'm going to be nudged by spirit to coordinate something else with everyone, just to touch base. Anyhow, it has been my deep pleasure and appreciation connecting with all of you in this group. And for those who are not able to tune in today, you are connected whether you're watching now or later. Your energy is in the group. And it's been an honor that all of you have put your faith and trust in me as a guide. And I take this so sacredly because I know this process is a sacred process. And I thank all of you, and I'm so excited about your paths and the light that you're going to continue to share moving forward, first for yourselves, and then for others and with others. And so we open up the space. We thank all these wonderful light beings that connected here on earth, all of you light beings and light workers, our guides, our higher selves, our ancestors, those wonderful souls that have agreed to step through and assist us with our practice. I'm using air quotes. We thank you and we appreciate you, and we open up the space. Namaste.
Namaste.
All right, unmute yourself and say goodbye.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
Thank you,
You're
Lori.
welcome.
Thank
Thank
you, Lori.
you.
Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
That was.
Mm.